Well, Harbin, you got to go in the skybox yesterday. What did you think about it?
I did. I don't know the official numbers, but I'd say I'm probably within the first 10 people from Granger County to get in the skybox. So you
Wow.
so you can put that in my obituary when I pass away one day. No, I had a great time. Shout out to Eric and Angie and everybody else that made it happen. I enjoyed myself and met some good people, and we had a good time and got to enjoy a very relaxed, good homecoming win.
59-3. Day was Dane was the recipients, not officially using our seat. Well, I mean, he did use our seats. It's not our
Yeah,
tickets, but a little extra leg room down there in
they enjoyed
Z11.
themselves. Dane ended up going back to the shade because it was hot, and his buddy sat with me
Oh
until
Lord.
halftime, and then we moved to where they were because they met up with more friends. So it was a good time though.
Yeah, it did look when we got there yesterday morning, it was a little chilly. We had to go stand in the sun, but I was guessing by about 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, got pretty warm out there.
I was okay, but they cried about it. So
It was pretty warm in the box, wasn't it, Harbin?
Yeah, that thing's like a convention oven. Uh,
Oh,
you got those big windows, and the sun's always hitting, and you're just baking in there.
you can't sit on the front row. I tell people that all the time. Big Montana knows. You sit down there on the front row, cold weather, hot weather. If it's a noon or 3:30 kickoff, you're gonna roast down there in that front row.
yep.
I did. I guess it was end of the third or start of the fourth. I moved down there to the front, and I forgot the lady's name I was sitting next to. I started sweating.
Yeah,
Because of,
I got up and left a couple times. I was like, I can't take this.
were you sweating because of the lady or because of the sun?
No, no, this lady was very nice, but it was strictly because of the sun.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so
So what are you saying?
that it was
Damn.
hot. That's all I'm saying.
um,
What was hot?
The sun.
Oh, temperature hot. Gotcha.
Yes, Fahrenheit, not yeah, Fahrenheit.
um, so Tennessee beats UConn 59-3. We said last week it would be a breather. The line was 34.5. There were several I was talking to prior to the game. I was like, oh, I'm not taking Tennessee. That's too big of a line. It turned out to not be enough. I didn't expect Tennessee to win 59-3. I'll just be honest. I thought it would be more like a 45-17 or 45-14, something like that. But besides the first drive of the game, Tennessee just dominated this game from start to finish. And really, you look back at that drive, there were several penalties that led to UConn even getting down to that part of the field. But this game was never in doubt, never in question, which was good. They did everything they needed to do. They got a lot of people playing time. They did a lot of things really well. They, I think, came out of the game relatively injury free. Some people didn't play, got banged up at Kentucky a couple weeks ago. So just all around good game as we go into this final stretch of the season, a pretty critical stretch. So, what was your all's thoughts about the game yesterday?
It was nice not to have to worry about anything really. It was fun. Um, got to see Nayland for the first time since 2005 on TV. Haven't done that in forever. I thought the Vols looked good. I mean, they did everything they had to take care of. Um, Defense, with three tutties in the game, that was pretty impressive. I don't care who you play. If you can return three balls to the end zone on defense, that's pretty impressive.
Harb, what'd you think about the game?
Uh, it was nice. We did pretty much what we needed to do. Everything looked clean for the most part. Defense looked spectacular. in my opinion. Anytime you have 3 defensive touchdowns, I don't care if you're playing Seymour High School. That's impressive. Joe looked good in the first half, 11-14, 254, 2 touchdowns. Jalen Wright obviously kicked everything off with a 80-ish yard touchdown to start the game. I don't know exactly what it was. And we got to get Nico some reps, so that was nice. I wish they wouldn't have pulled him to put Gaston Moore in, just to be honest with you. I would like to have seen him play way more into the fourth quarter. But yeah, we took care of business. No injuries. That's kind of the biggest thing for me, except for the one cat that got hurt on about 4 extra points. But I think he's going to persevere and be okay for the Missouri game. Yeah, I thought overall it was an A game. Exactly what I need to do, and getting ready for Missouri this weekend.
Day, you were out with the people, the common folk yesterday. What was it like out there?
It was we're here to win type of vibe. Not loud, not quiet, but they were just, they knew they were going to win. It kind of all went, I don't know. It's like you knew you were going to win, but when they held them to a field goal, just when they mauled their line, I don't know who it was. I think it was Barron, just absolutely ran through like 2 of the linemen and tackled the quarterback and forced them to the field goal. You knew then it was going to get ugly for them because they had already ran their mouth to start the game. UConn, that is. And then they didn't stop talking during the game. And it was just like, once we figured out that one play with Keaton, I've never seen anybody so open in my life on a football field. That was insane. But that's where it just kind of blew open. It was just like, okay, we can do whatever we want. We can score when we want. We kind of want to get the defense some reps here and there. And then they started scoring. It was a whatever you want day, honestly.
Yeah,
and the other coach proud about it.
I think when Milton threw that ball to Keaton, I said, "Is he going to catch this or not?" I mean, he was so wide open, and he literally they said there's that saying like he walked into the end zone. He literally pretty much power walked into the end zone. He was so
from
wide
the
open.
20.
From the 20, yeah. I mean, it was crazy how wide open he was.
Did the defender fall? Is that what happened?
No, there was. It was just a busted play, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they got. I don't know if they got caught because it was a play action, so I got caught looking in the backfield or something. But you just see out of where we were out of the corner of your left eye, you see this streak going up the field, and you hear everybody say he's wide open right when he throws the football. I mean, there was literally no one within 30 yards of him. It was crazy. But that's what this offense has been missing over the past few weeks is big explosive plays like that we got used to over the past couple years. And we're starting to see a little bit more of that out of this team. I just thought Tennessee did everything they needed to do yesterday and got out of there with a win. They ran the football well. They played really good defense. Joe played well. They got a bunch of kids playing time, and it's time to move on to Missouri.
Pretty much.
Ho hum. Not much to talk about when you beat a team 59-3.
No.
When
the backup kicker gets to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was really cool. This isn't game related. One thing I thought was really cool was at one point in the first or second quarter, I don't remember exactly when it was, on the Jumbotron, they showed a video of Pat Summit singing Rocky Top. And that's what kind of led it, and everybody started singing it. I thought that was really cool. I thought that was a nice touch. Yeah, thought that was cool.
That was a good little moment.
Yeah, that
I just love the pettiness since it was UConn to honor Pat and the powder blue, and it was just a big screw you to UConn.
You know, it's kind of like UConn's one of, I don't know, in football it used to be we would play UCLA and Notre Dame randomly, and those were kind of some what they used to call intersectional non-conference teams we got used to playing quite a bit. And I know UConn, we don't really play them in football. I don't know if we've ever played them before today. I don't know. I'd have to look back. I know I've never seen them play UConn, but Tennessee and UConn have a history. I mean, even in men's basketball, we played them in the NCAA tournament several years ago and beat them. And I think we've played a home and home with them in men's basketball. And of course, the women's basketball is what it is. We all know about that back in the 90s and 2000s when they played. But kind of cool to have UConn in town and for homecoming and honor Pat. And uniforms were spectacular. White pants, orange tops, white helmets, a little bit of blue in there mixed in. Nice little touch. We should wear those uniform combos every home game. But I don't want to get onto that track because people will get upset about it. Sad. Although Harbin did post a really good tweet of what my face would have looked like if they came out. Was it in powder blues or was it just with any blue on?
Well, to be honest with you, the tweet was what your face looked like when we saw the powder blue accessories, but you've backtracked since then. But for those wondering, those that don't follow the Section Y8 Twitter account,
X.
And if you're not watching YouTube, maybe we can get you Niece to put it on the YouTube. There's a Snapchat filter that pretty much makes it look like Niece's head's gonna explode. And yeah, it's pretty much essentially what I thought he was gonna look like when we wore the powder blue armbands and whatnot.
I never said I disliked the powder blue armbands. I was just getting aggravated earlier in the week because people kept saying, we need to wear powder blue jerseys. I'm like, when is enough enough? Like, we've worn gray, we've worn black, we've worn orange helmets, we've worn the throwback grays. Like, enough is enough at some point. Like, let's put an end to this and just play football and wear what we're supposed to wear. Georgia doesn't do it. Alabama doesn't do it. Just wear what we're supposed to wear. We're orange and white. Yes, smoky gray is one of our colors too. Once a year is fine.
I may be in the minority on this, but I think a really good touch would have been a baby blue outline on the numbers and maybe a very small stripe down the pants. I think that might have been a good touch. It would have been hardly noticeable, but it would have been a good touch. I know you're going to disagree with that, but I think that might have been a decent little touch.
It may have been decent, but enough is enough. Hashtag enough is enough. So I do have a question for everybody, and it's not, can you imagine? Just looking back at the last, not Texas A&M, so I guess the last three games, Alabama, Kentucky, and UConn. And it's kind of hard to say UConn, but do you think Tennessee is peaking right now? I think Tennessee's playing really well. If you take that second half out of Alabama, which we saw against LSU last night, that Alabama shut them down, didn't let them do anything. So it wasn't just us. But you take that second half out of Alabama, I thought Tennessee played its most complete game of the season against Kentucky. They carried it over and just dominated from start to finish UConn, which they should have. Are they peaking at the right time? Anybody can go.
Yeah, I think they are. I think Missouri is going to be the second best team they've played this year behind Alabama. But it seems like we're all three phases of football. We're kind of getting there. I've really liked what I've seen out of the defense. I mean, even the Kentucky game, I think they shut the run down, and that was a decision made a week before the game. We're not going to get beat by homeboy running the ball. So they, gave up some long plays. And Kentucky's quarterback had a great game. So I don't really fault the defense on that game at all. It seems I don't understand, at the beginning of the season when we kicked the ball off, we kept on having, kicking it out of bounds penalties and stuff like that. I hadn't seen one since maybe the Virginia game, but I noticed yesterday he kind of got sideways on a couple. And so I don't know if he's got the yips again or not. But that's really the only negative thing you can say right now, which if that's all you can say, then stuff's going pretty good. But it's going to take, a lot of everybody stepping up to beat Missouri. I watched that Georgia game Saturday, and they look pretty tough.
What do you think, Harb? You think the Vols are peaking at the right time or not?
Yes is my short answer. I do agree that we're peaking. And obviously on the surface, end of the season is the right time to do it. However, as good as we're playing right now, it makes the trip down to Gainesville even more head scratching. Obviously, since Arkansas went down there and won in overtime. Very happy for Sam Pittman, by the way. Love that guy.
Kick up there.
Yeah, and I mean, and the start of our peak was the Alabama game. Beat the hell out of them in the first half, and then just completely abandoned everything that was working in the second half. So I'd really say the last 8 quarters of football is when we've been peaking. It would have really been nice to finish the game in Tuscaloosa and just halfway show up in Gainesville, and we'd be in a completely different situation right now. But obviously, past in the past, and we're playing our best football of the season right now, and our sights are set on Como, and hopefully Uncle Wayne will do us a favor that he's owed us for 14 years. So, yeah, that's really all I'm worried about. You can't really worry about what's in the past right now. You can only look at what's ahead.
What do you think, Day? You think the Vols are playing their best right now, or is the best still yet to come for this team?
I mean, I think they're playing their best. They found a little passing game. Who cares if it was they did it at Kentucky. They did it at Bama. Squirrel's getting loose and Thornton's coming into his own. I mean, the running game's been what it is, but if you can pair those two together, then you're really dangerous. I mean, I think Joe running has helped him passing, which sounds absolutely crazy, but it has. I mean, you can see an improvement. He's made some pretty high level throws. Like, he can do it, but he hadn't been doing it. But he's made them the last few weeks, whether it be Bama or Kentucky. He had that one to Squirrel over the middle, and UConn was impressive. They're coming into their own. They're gonna have to play better than they did at Kentucky to beat Missouri. I thought they played well, but they're gonna have to play better. And basically, as long as they can get to Cook, they'll be okay, I think. But if they can't get to him, he will pick them apart. I mean, Burden is legit. That dude is a crazy good wide receiver. And the running back's not terrible. So it's one of those things. I think we can stop him. Not going to be that big of an issue. My thing is, whatever, I don't even know, Dorkiewicz, he still hasn't figured out how to slow down Tennessee's run game. And if they can't, they're not going to win. Like, Tennessee will run all over them and hit them with a big pass when they need to.
So I tweeted this earlier today, and this is just one example of the team, but Joe Milton's been the center of some scrutiny over the past couple months, and I feel like he's playing really well right now. It looks like he's in rhythm, but just his last 3 games, look at the stats. John Ward always said, check the stats. He's 57 of 76, 75%, 753 yards passing, 5 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown, 845 yards of total offense. Now, he's not rushing the ball for big numbers. He had a pretty good day rushing against Bama. Yesterday, he only had 2 for 7, I think, but one of those was a touchdown run. But I feel like Joe, like, if you watch some of the throws he made yesterday, and I know it was against a bad UConn team, and they were basically playing against air, it looked like at some points, but there were some throws he made yesterday that I felt like earlier in the season and just a few weeks ago, he wasn't hitting them in stride, like the touchdown pass to Squirrel White. That dude never broke stride, and it led to a touchdown. on the after the catch. I mean, he caught it in stride and never broke stride and ran to the house. And there were several other throws where he was on time, he was accurate, and that's what he's got to do. He doesn't have to throw for 300 yards. He's just got to make the accurate throw, because this running game, I was just looking at the stats. They're third in the country rushing right now. They don't need him to throw for 300 yards like last year. So I think Joe Milton is, while he's not Hendon Hooker, he's not a Heisman candidate, anything like that, I feel like he's taken a step forward the past few weeks, starting with Alabama. He played awful against Texas A&M. But the Bama game, he
everybody
played,
did in that game.
Well, nobody did. You're right. Defensively,
We ran the ball well, but that's
but yeah,
that
no,
was just
you're
an ugly
right.
game.
It wasn't just him. You're right. I mean, but he was one part of the struggles. But since then against Alabama, he played well. I thought he played really well against Kentucky, and then he did again yesterday and got out. He played for a half and he got to sit out. So I think this team, I don't know if they're peaking. I don't know. I just thought of that this afternoon, but I think if they go to Missouri, play really well and win, you might say they are peaking heading into Georgia. So it's something to keep your eye on. If they play like they have been the last 3 weeks, I think they go to Missouri and handle business. So we go to Como this Saturday. The line came out this afternoon, Harbin, and it's been kind of all over the place. I've seen some where Missouri's -2, Missouri's -1, 1.5, and then I've seen others where Tennessee's -2, 1.5. So, what's your sources telling you on the line of the game?
I was actually looking that up right as you were saying it. According to BetMGM, Tennessee is -1.5. Which I got to be honest with, it's a little surprising to me.
Why is that? Why do you think that's surprising?
I don't know. I just figured since it was a home game for Missouri, if it was going to be a 1.5, 2-point spread, they would throw the hook their way. Just because of how we've kind of showed ourselves on the road this year, just to be honest with you. We put a game together against Kentucky, and it was enough to win. We covered in that game. But if you've watched this team all year, I don't think it's negative to say I've got to see it to believe it for it to happen 2 times in a row. Just to be 100% honest with you. I think if you look at Tennessee and Missouri, just in general, I think they're fairly even. I think I would give the nod to us as far as talent, just overall, like coaching, talent, play-wise. And the big thing, like Day said, Drinkwitz has to show that he can be able to stop our run. And I think if they do that, Missouri wins football game.
So
That's just how it is.
I like to look at stats. So while we've been talking here, I pulled these up. Rushing defense, total rushing defense. Tennessee ranks 13th in the nation. And Mizzou is not far behind them at number 24. So obviously Tennessee runs the football very well. So that's something to watch. Like Day said, over the last 2 years since Heupel's been at Tennessee, we have ran up and down the field on these guys. I remember that game in 2021. I was in Louisiana watching it. It was just unbelievable how we ran up and down the field on it. It's like nobody was even out there playing defense, which it was crazy. But Tennessee rushes the ball really well. We're the 3rd-ranked rushing team in the country behind Liberty and Air Force. We know what kind of offense Air Force runs. And was looking at rush offense for Missouri. They're 76. So obviously I haven't got to the passing offense yet. Obviously they rely on the passing game a little bit more than we do. But I think Tennessee goes up there and if they run the ball like they did against, A&M was, I think, number 1 in the conference against the run, and we ran all over them. So if Mizzou can shut down the run and force Joe Milton to throw the ball 30, 35, 40 times, it could be a long night for Tennessee or a long afternoon. But I don't know. There's nobody has stopped Tennessee from rushing the football yet this year.
The only team that stopped Tennessee from rushing the football was Tennessee in the Florida game because they just wouldn't do it, which is frustrating.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Took the words out of my mouth. But also, I'm piggybacking off Day once again. Missouri's going to be able to throw the ball against us. I think our game plan is roughly going to be kind of the same against Kentucky. You know, don't let them get anything in the run game, especially in the middle. They're going to throw for some yards on us. That's going to happen. We're going to play the bend, don't break game. If we run the ball, we're going to be fine. I feel like I've been a broken record the whole season. I feel like I've said that for literally every single game this year. But it's true. If we go out there and we run for around 200 or 200 plus, we're going to be just fine. We're going to be very happy. But we got to stop their run game, and they have it's either the best red zone offense in the country or the best red zone offense in the SEC, one of the two. I saw the stat during the Georgia game. If we can hold them to a few field goals when they get down there, we're going to win the game. It's just little things like that. I think it's extremely simple. Yeah, just stick to what works and do what we've been doing all year. And I think talent and coaching prevails.
What do you think, Big Montana? What's your gut telling you about this game this weekend? Do the Vols go down there and win? If so, what do they got to do it?
Something tells me that they will go down there and win. I think the game's going to come down to which team performs better in the red zone. I honestly do. I don't think Tennessee's going to have a problem getting in the red zone, but in the weeks past, it's being able to put 7 points on the board instead of 3. And down the road here with the next 2 games, 3 points, getting to the red zone 6 times and only scoring 2 touchdowns ain't going to beat these cats. You're going to have to, when you get down there, you're going to have to get as much as you possibly can. And I think that's going to be the major key to this game for Tennessee and Joe Milton. And honestly, that's been like my biggest knock against Joe. And everybody's always joked with him about, throwing 80 yards on a 60-yard route or whatever. But here recently, it's just been the simple stuff. I don't want to say simple, but like the short passes in the red zone to a tight end or a receiver. And I've said it for weeks. Squirrel White's always open. I mean, that dude's just crazy fast, crazy talented. But if we can score 7 when we're down there, I think we'll beat them. And I don't think it'll be that close of a game. But if we let them hang around, that's how you get beat by some of the. Well, they're not a mid-major SEC team anymore. They're actually pretty good, so I can't call them mid-major. But it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Harbin, I looked that up while Big Montana was talking. Where do you think they rank nationally, Missouri in red zone offense?
I don't know how they did against Georgia. I don't know the exact numbers. I don't know. I don't think it was great. But I'm gonna say they're 9th nationally.
So they are first in the SEC, ahead of Arkansas and Florida in red zone offense. They are number 1 in the country in red zone offense. They've had 38 attempts in the red zone, and they've scored 37 times. 15 rushing touchdowns, 10 passing touchdowns, and 12 field goals. In comparison, the Volunteers are tied for 62nd with Liberty, Texas A&M, and West Virginia. Tennessee has had 41 red zone attempts, 12 rushing touchdowns, 9 passing touchdowns, 14 field goals. So 35 out of 41 85% of the time they score when they're in the red zone.
My question is, where does our red zone defense rank?
Well, let's look that up. They have a stat for that too, Harbin.
Good.
I just got to pull it up if I can find it.
Hamstring cramp.
All right, over there, Dave.
Stand up, Dave.
Day-Day's
Not hydrated.
cramping. He didn't hydrate enough.
A gazebo got me.
I don't see Missouri or Tennessee on the first page, which is 1 through 50, on red zone defense. So I'm guessing they're not. Okay, here's Tennessee, tied for 55th in red zone defense with Miami of Ohio and West Virginia. 27 opponent red zone attempts. 22 times the teams have scored. Missouri, still haven't found them. They got to be here somewhere. I'm running out of pages. I mean, here's South Carolina. Wow, they can't be this bad. I'm down to 100. I'm down to 100. I've got to be missing them somewhere. Well, I'll find it and come back to it. I don't even see him. I've obviously overlooked him. But no, you're right. That is a key. I mean, Tennessee has at points struggled to score in the red zone. Here they are, 73rd. They're tied with Texas San Antonio and 73rd in red zone defense. Their opponents have had 32 possessions and they've scored on 27 of them. 4 rushing touchdowns, 13 passing touchdowns in the red zone. So there you go. We break it all down here on this show. That's what to look for. Rushing the football and red zone opportunities is the key to the game Saturday.
Yeah. If you just think about that Bama game, with the opportunities they had down there, they settled for 2 field goals, from inside the 5, right? I mean, that Bama may have just rolled over and died if they were down 21 points, said, I'll piss on it.
Well, yeah. I mean, think back to that game. We scored a touchdown at the end of the first half in the red zone. And then we kicked 2 field goals. But think if one of those field goals was a touchdown, that's 24 points. If 2 of them were there, you're up 31-7 at halftime. And I'm not saying that Alabama couldn't come back, but that 31-7 looks a whole lot different than 20-7 at halftime. It could have been 34-7. So I mean, it's just, you got to take advantage of those opportunities when you get down there, and hopefully they do this Saturday. And I think if the offense continues to play like they have been, they will. It's just that unknown of Tennessee on the road. How are they going to play? We've seen them over the last couple of weeks do better than that at Alabama for a half, and then they played a full game at Kentucky pretty well, but it'll be interesting to see if they can continue it. It's not that hostile of an atmosphere at Missouri, but it's not an easy place to play either. It's the SEC. It's not Vanderbilt, that's for sure. So it's prediction time. We'll start Big Montana. We've talked about what Tennessee needs to do, and if they do, what'll happen. What's your final predictions for the game this Saturday? Tennessee at Missouri, 3:30 kickoff. They just announced it this afternoon. I was a little surprised by that, but looking at it on paper, it makes sense because Georgia and Tennessee is at 3:30 next week, and that would have been like 5 Saturdays that Georgia's been on CBS this year. But what are your thoughts?
The final score prediction?
Sure.
I think the Vols win 42-38, and I think the Vols come from behind to win.
High scoring game.
Yep.
Wow. All right.
I think the Vols have to fight their way back into the game, and they score late to win it.
Okay. Harb, what do you got?
Well, real quick, the reason our game was at 3:30 is because contractually with CBS, one team can only have 5 CBS games per year. So that's the reason that Ole Miss Georgia is not the 3:30 game, and that's why we got it. which helps in our favor. Because I think we all thought that it was going to be a night game, and night games in Como get a little funky. So that helps in our favor. But we're gonna win. We're gonna win this ball game. We're gonna get to 8-2. Until Drinkwitz proves it, we're gonna run the ball. We're gonna run. It's crazy that I'm predicting this, but it's our average. We're gonna run for at least 220, 230 yards, and that's running the ball all over somebody. And I think we do. I think we stopped their run, but I think their quarterback, along with Burden, I think they get some yards on us. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with 41-34 Vols. I don't think we come from behind. I'm not saying it's wire to wire, but I think it's kind of similar to the Kentucky game, just with a little bit more points. I think it's faster pace. I think we get on them early a little bit, maybe get up 10-0 or so, and we establish the run, and we don't really look back since then. And then later in the evening, Uncle Wayne, that I referenced to earlier, is going to do us a favor. And then after that, our showdown on November 18th in Neyland Stadium is for the East. That's how I see this playing out. Until it doesn't happen, that's exactly what's going to happen in my mind.
So, and before I give my picks, or my pick, Day Vol had to check out. He's sore, I guess, from building that deck on his house. So he predicted a Tennessee win, 35-28. A little bit more low scoring than you two fellas think. So here's my prediction. Tennessee is a very good rushing football team. Missouri plays fairly good rush defense. 114.3 yards per game is what Missouri gives up. Tennessee's also a very good rushing team, or defending the rush. 97.3 yards per game. Missouri's not going to run the football on us. Texas A&M, look at them when they played us. Now, this game was at home, but at the time, they were giving up 84 yards a game rushing. They're at 100 right now. They're 14th in the country. And I think Tennessee had 232 yards rushing against them. I think Tennessee goes to Missouri. They have 200-plus yards of rushing, probably closer to 250. They control the line of scrimmage, both offensively and defensively. They make life just hard enough for Missouri. Missouri's going to score some points. Don't get me wrong. The Cook kid is a good quarterback, pretty good passing attack they've got there. I think they're top 20 in the country passing offense. But I think Tennessee does just enough. They find a way to make a play defensively, a pick six or scoop and score, a big sack when they need it. But I think Tennessee's rushing attack combined with Joe Milton finding a way to make some plays, and Tennessee wins this game 35-31. And let's look at this. Let's look at this just for a minute. Tennessee's 7-2. Missouri's 7-2. So these teams aren't out of the SEC East race. So this is a huge game for both of these teams. I know Missouri lost to Georgia, but say they beat Tennessee and then we beat Georgia the next week. Do they have two losses in conference? Is that correct? So
they lost to LSU and Georgia.
So it's a little bit more far-fetched for them. They would have to beat us and hope Ole Miss and Georgia, or Ole Miss and Tennessee beat Georgia. We're kind of in the same boat. We need to beat Missouri and need Ole Miss to beat Georgia this weekend. But this is a huge game for both of these teams. This is an we talked about this, Harbin. This is the elimination chamber. Tennessee is in one pod and Missouri's in the other. This is an elimination chamber. And one of these teams is going to be eliminated this Saturday. But let's look at it from Tennessee's standpoint. Tennessee's 7-2. They've got a huge game against Missouri. If they can find a way to win this game and somehow Ole Miss finds a way to beat Georgia, then this sets up a huge matchup in Neyland Stadium next week. Even if Ole Miss doesn't win, that game next week is a huge matchup. Just from a standpoint of Tennessee needs to get that monkey off of their back and beat Georgia for once. These next two games are huge football games, and we talked about it before or after the A&M game a couple weeks ago that this 5-game stretch coming up or 4-game stretch, I guess, it's pretty for this season to be considered a success or not is a big stretch of football. You had at Alabama, at Kentucky, UConn, at Missouri, home against Georgia. So a 5-game stretch. Well, right now in that 5-game stretch, Tennessee's 2-1. They have an opportunity to go 3-1 this week. And it's another one of those games, like I've said all year long, Tennessee is up here right now in probably tier B in the conference. Missouri is, even though they're having a good season, they're probably not tier B right now as a program. This is their first good year under Drinkwitz. They're a 500 program in this conference. But this is an opportunity for Tennessee to go and win this game, and we're trending toward the A tier with Alabama and Georgia in this conference. This is a huge opportunity. I was thinking about it this afternoon. Like, this is a huge opportunity for Tennessee these next 2 weeks. I don't know, Harbin. I got really excited this afternoon thinking about it. Like, we have been dying for these opportunities for years, and we finally got them. This program's in a good place right now. We may go out and lose Saturday, but this is a huge opportunity for this program to go out and get a big win on the road and set up an even bigger matchup the next week. And who knows what'll happen this weekend, college football. Missouri gave Georgia all they wanted and then some last weekend or yesterday. Ole Miss is better than Missouri, I think. And they've got a great opportunity themselves to go to the college football playoffs if they win. So these are two huge matchups this weekend. Georgia hosting Ole Miss, Tennessee traveling to Missouri. But this 2-game stretch for Tennessee is huge. And I'm just excited for the opportunity, Harbin.
I wholeheartedly agree with you. It's kind of funny how we were talking a week or two ago about some people saying scrap it and start the freshman, whatever. And just 5 or 6 years ago, we were starving just to be in a position to go even 8-4, 9-3, 10-2 wasn't even damn thought process, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah, it's really cool to see that we're there now. I'm trying to find the Ole Miss Georgia line. It's not looking like it's live currently.
Yeah, I didn't look at that. I will say, I look at the FPI there on ESPN quite a bit, and earlier in the week, I think Tennessee was at 54% chance to win the football game against Missouri. As of this afternoon, it had jumped up to almost 61%. It was basically 61% to 39% for Missouri. So it's dropped. It's switched in a 6% range within 3 days. I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's because Missouri lost to Georgia. I don't know what all goes into that. I guess it's simulations, but I mean, things are trending well for Tennessee right now. That's why I asked earlier, are the Vols peaking? And I think they are. And if they continue to play like they are, they go to Missouri and win.
So according to ESPN's website, I like using actual betting sites, but this is the only thing I have in front of me right now. Georgia's an 11.5-point favorite against Ole Miss. They have a 69. Nice.
What?
What? They have a 69% chance of winning that ball game. I don't know exactly what it was against Missouri. I do know they were 14.5-point favorites because I took Georgia as a semi-emotional hedge, kind of hoping for Missouri to beat them. Obviously lost both of those. But, I mean, like you said, it's college football, man. Anything can happen. That's the beauty and the ugliness of it. But we can't worry about that game. That game's kicking off after ours is done. Can't worry about that. You just need to worry about running the damn ball.
We got to be laser focused on the Tigers.
I am laser focused on the Tigers. Straight up.
Nothing else matters this week except the Tigers. No
Don't.
Bulldogs, no Rebels, no Land Sharks, none of that. Just the Tigers.
I do really, really think that it helps us that this game is kicking off at 2:30 and not 6 or 6:30 in Como. I really do.
Yeah, I looked at the weather that was brought up earlier. It's supposed to be 57 degrees, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. So when the game kicks off, it's going to be pretty great football weather. It probably get a little chilly as the game goes on. But I just know the time I went out there, it was, I guess, 10 years ago this year we went, probably this weekend. We went out there and got whipped up and down the field. Butch Jones's first year. I just remember how cold it was out there that night in Como. It was a 7:00 game. Tennessee got drilled up and down the field. It was cold. It was a long ride home the next day. But, yeah, I think kicking off daytime hopefully plays to Tennessee's advantage. And another thing, I put Georgia in that category with Alabama. I don't think teams, and I don't know a statistic right off the top of my head, I'm just eyeballing it here, but teams that play Georgia the next week, I can't imagine their record's very good or they've responded very well, especially if you lose. That was a pretty tight back and forth game. I mean, it was tied at halftime.
Yeah.
So that's something else to remember too. We played UConn, they played Georgia on the road in Athens in a tight ball game.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. We had another bye week, basically.
Yeah. I mean, stuff like that obviously goes into it. But you can't take away Missouri's passing attack. And like Day said earlier, the run game is pretty good. I'd call it decent. But I mean, it's simple. Win the line of scrimmage. Run the ball. Get 200 plus, like we were talking about, or somewhere in that general region. Personally, I think Joe Milton's playing his best football of the year. So if we don't necessarily hit that benchmark, I have faith in him to make some plays and make some winning plays, get us where we need to be. And we also need to get pressure on the quarterback after we stop the run. The thing against Kentucky is we stuffed the run on Ray Davis, but also we kind of gave Devin Leary all day to throw. And I think that was part of our game plan, to be honest with you, but it still happened. Now we got to get it back there and make life as tough as possible on him. I mean, we're not going to shut him down and let him only throw for 60 yards. I mean, that's not going to happen. But we got to get back there and make it hard and maybe force a turnover or two and get the ball rolling our direction.
I agree.
About it.
That's it. So, big game this weekend, Vols at Mizzou. Can the Vols get to 8-2 and set up a huge game with Georgia next week? Neyland Stadium, 3:30 kickoff. This is the last two games we may ever play on CBS because next year CBS is going to Big Ten country. So this may be the last two times we get to hear Gary Danielson's voice call our games. And it will be the last time on Saturday, or not this Saturday, but next Saturday, that CBS intro music is played, that glorious college football theme, as they pan over Neyland Stadium, a sold-out Neyland Stadium. which I expect to be we haven't done an orange out this year, Harbin.
Surely.
I'm expecting an orange out, which will be kind of tough with cold weather because not everybody has an orange jacket. So
Yeah, everybody has gray and black jackets.
wear an orange hoodie. Find an orange hoodie and wear it. No excuse.
I hope they wear the orange helmets against Georgia.
Oh God. Here we go again. Here we go again. What?
What? What do you say, ET?
What?
We got to revert. We got to reverse the curse of the orange helmets. So we might as well do it against Georgia at home.
I'd rather wear them against Vandy. You know that's a win.
All right.
Oh boys.
Before we get too off track, do we have any questions from our Spotify listeners?
Well, that's a good point, Harbin. We do. So let me look those up.
Before we get to haters and losers, let's maybe answer some questions from the friends and fans out there.
From the people. Let me look those up real quick. I'm glad you brought that up. So, we actually didn't have any for we didn't have any for the game after Bama. So the episode Vols collapse at Bama had no comments, but we had 3 on the episode for the Texas A&M game. YY8 refugee. Okay. Always enjoyable is what he said. All right. Here is Blake Talley. Thanks for listening, Blake Talley, as always. This was 20 days ago, by the way, when he left this quote. I was told by Harb's teammate, Bain, that he choked down on 8-iron, that the choke down 8-iron was not working. So I apologize for putting our differences aside to see my boys what is it? He says being home a trophy. I think he means bring home a trophy. What is he talking about, Harbin?
It's
that was the tournament in Dandridge.
The 9-iron controversy.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm not gonna waste too much oxygen on that. We've already beat that dead horse.
Dustin Parker, D Parker, 1017 says, "Will Nice please stay home for the next big road game?" Well, I did, and look what happened. Tennessee won at Kentucky. So there you go, Dustin.
By the way, speaking about the road game formula, Nice or I did not go to Kentucky, and we watched the game together in East Tennessee.
Yes.
So Nice, I don't know what plans you have on Saturday, but I believe I'll be watching it with you.
I cannot announce my plans at this time. I know where I'm going, but I'm not at liberty to announce those on air as of right now.
Is there a chance that I will be there?
There's a 0% chance you will be there.
Well, I might need to change my prediction.
I'm sorry, but
that's tough, scene.
I can't say any more about it. So
sad
because somebody may be listening and I will ruin something. So
sad. Whatever, it's fine. I mean, if you want to go 8-4, that's fine.
I mean, I don't, but we gotta figure out like what were you wearing that night? Wear that. Maybe we can FaceTime each other or something. Would that work?
Maybe.
So we had one more question. This was 6 days ago. This was from our last episode, Back to the Mines Part 4. This is from Parker Prophet, I think a friend of Harbin. Is that correct?
That is correct. Former roommate of mine.
Shout out, Parker, for listening to the show. You will win a koozie and a sticker for listening to the show. His question, and I've not seen this until just now. His question is, when did Big Montana see Nico play enough college football to determine that he's better than Joe? All I see of Nico is high school highlights where he plays in pajama pants. Big Montana, do you have a response to that question?
Well, Parker, your opinion is null and void for somebody that would live with Harbin. But anyway, I'll answer your question. I honestly feel like anybody that got a scholarship to play college football after certain games this year would be a better choice to play than Joe Milton III. And I will say that Joe Milton III has been playing better the past 3 weeks. I hope that answers your question.
Hopefully that answered your question, Parker. But I do appreciate you submitting those questions. So if you do want to submit a question or a comment, you can do so by logging on to the Spotify app, listening to our show, and leaving a comment.
Harbin, I would be your roommate too. I'm just joking. I do imagine you shed a lot of hair though.
I mean, it's not Great Pyrenees level, but
You'd like a Cocker Spaniel?
potentially. I mean, I would assume that I definitely shed more hair than you do.
Buddy, I don't know. Now I shed hair. It's just not hair on my head.
Fair enough. That might be the grossest thing we've ever done. Fair enough.
Let's change the conversation. How about that? Haters and
Listen,
losers.
I got a lot of hamburger meat. It's everywhere.
He does.
That's 80-20.
Haters and losers of the week. Not 75-35.
Oh, it's 80-20, baby.
Haters and losers of the week. Who wants to go first here? I did not post a poll, Harbin. Sorry.
I will go first.
Okay.
My hater and loser of the week. It's just hater and loser of life, honestly. Butch Jones. Imagine what Josh Dobbs would have done in college if he had a competent coach. I watched that young man that today just dominate an NFL football game after not even taking a rep with the team. And he's so good. Great young guy, just talented, been on 5 teams in the past calendar year, and just goes out there and just, I mean, that first down run he had in that game where he just straddled the sideline. I mean, just imagine what he would have done with, somebody who could have made him flourish. I mean, he covered up, just him being as great as he was in college. Imagine how much better he would have done. He would have been. He honestly covered up so much crap in that program with just his talent alone. But Butch, you're a piece of shit. You don't deserve to coach college football.
Fair enough.
Harb, who you got this week?
Man, I went back and forth because there's obviously a lot of great candidates week in and week out. But this one, I was gonna go with one that's low hanging fruit in Caleb Williams, but I'm gonna stay in the same realm, but maybe go to his I can't think of the word right now. But anyway, I'm gonna go with Lincoln Riley. You first of all, you leave Oklahoma while you're bringing in Heisman candidate quarterbacks left and right, and you want to buy a beach house out in Malibu, which is fine. I mean, I'm sure that's great, and you do that, and you have literally one of the highest quarterback prospects of the last 15 years. And it's produced 0 playoff appearances, 0 conference championship appearance. In the Pac-12, keep in mind, RIP. Your offense consistently puts up 40-something a game, and you still lose in every meaningful game you can. Keep in mind, 0-3 against the Utah Utes in the last 2 years.
I did not realize that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And that, no shade towards Utah whatsoever. They've got a very good program.
Yeah.
But when you're a high-level coach like Lincoln Riley and you leave for a job that has the credit as USC, you're expected to go 3-0, not 0-3 against Utah. I mean, let's just keep it real. And on the Caleb Williams train, the video went viral. I got so damn sick of seeing it. He jumped up in the stands and cried on his mom's shoulder. Which is totally fine. I love my mother. I love her to death. And I'm sure y'all do too. Your own mother. But man, do that in the locker room or do it after the game. And the thing that kills me is like ESPN was pushing this narrative of like, man, he gave it all. And yes, he did. I mean, he put up what, 42 or 45 in the loss against Washington. But last year when Max Duggan and TCU lost to Kansas State in the Big 12 championship game, he cried at the podium. And Caleb Williams literally made fun of him publicly on Twitter. You expect me to feel sorry for that guy after you made fun of a guy in the exact same situation as you? You want to jump up in the stands in your mom's arms to make it more heartfelt? Hell no. No, it's a loser move, in my opinion. You make fun of a guy that does the exact same thing, but then you want people to feel sorry for you. And then post-game press conference, they asked him how he's going to bounce back from this. And he says, man, I just want to go home and get in bed and cuddle with my dog and watch TV shows. Are you serious? I swear to God, I saw that quote and I thought it was fake. I truly did. Like, you get up there and say that? I mean, this man is tanking his own draft stock worse than a damn DUI would. I mean, I'm serious. That sounds like a big Montana quote, but hellfire. I mean, this dude is a loser. And this is also the same guy that painted his fingernails against Notre Dame last year.
And Utah.
And Utah. I'm not going to say the word, but it started with an F and ended with a K on one hand.
What?
Then it had either ND or Utah on the other. But you lose a game against Washington, which Washington is an incredibly good football team. They're going to be in the playoff, and they have a very good chance of winning the national championship. You cry after, and you expect people to feel sorry for you after you've humiliated two opponents in the last year, which one you lost to, and then the second one you threw 3 picks and got decimated by, who just lost at Clemson, by the way. They're not very good, and they lost to Louisville. And then you cry, and you made fun of a guy last year that did the same exact thing, and you want people to have sympathy for you. I'm not buying it. It's bullshit. Pardon my French. So Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, hellfire. The whole University of Southern California is my hater and loser of the week. Scumbags.
You just did a like a State Farm bundle right there.
Sure did. I bundled my homes and my auto.
So that's very good, Harbin. So I went back and forth on these two. I had one picked out, and Dad blame it if he didn't go and win yesterday, and I didn't feel like I could. But my first one I was going to go with was Dabo Sweeney.
Yes, right.
During his coach's show the other day, he went off, which I've got my uncle trying to figure out who in the world is Tyler from Spartanburg, South Carolina. But Dabo goes off on this guy on his radio show or his call-in show. I guess it's like Vol calls at Calhoun's or whatever.
Yeah.
But
do you think it was rehearsed? Do you think it was because like it seemed like it was too perfect?
I don't know. Stuff's so hard to tell anymore. I mean, there's so much stuff out there that you see that just things are done and you just don't know if they're real. Like I saw this thing the other day where people, have been going around ripping down signs of the hostages that Hamas has over in Israel. And I saw one where this guy was ripping it down and these guys like confronted him on the street, and it just something about it didn't seem right to me. I mean, it's just things like that I'm so suspicious of anymore. So it is hard to tell. It could have been something Dabo did to probably fire up his team. But if they lost, I had already had it in my mind. If they lose that football game, he is my hater and loser of the week. But my hater and loser of the week is somebody else from the Palmetto State, down the road from Clemson in the state capital of South Carolina in Columbia, is Shane Beamer, head coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks. The Gamecocks won over the Gamecocks of Jacksonville State this weekend, 38-28. And Beamer was not too happy after the game because there's been a lot of stress around the program. They were 2-6 coming into the game, so they're 3-6. They basically got to win out to go to a bowl game. They got to beat Clemson. They got to beat gosh, I don't even know who they play. They've got 3 tough games coming up that they got to win all 3 of them if they want to go bowling. So Beamer comes to the podium and says, I'll just read the quote here. It's a pretty long quote, so bear with me. We made it really hard on ourselves at times today. There's a lot to clean up. I was writing things down during the game and ran out of paper with all the issues we had. And it starts with me. We've got to get a lot better down the stretch than we were here today. But we're going to celebrate the heck out of this game. We just had one heck of a celebration in that locker room. Our guys are super excited and dancing their butts off. There are going to be people that live a miserable existence that are going to say, why are you celebrating a 10-point win over Jacksonville State? Well, that's why you're not on the team. That's why you're not in the locker room. Our guys work really, really hard during the week. We know we need to be better, starting with me. I thought we coached poorly today in a lot of ways. We'll be better. This game is too hard, and we get 12 guaranteed Saturdays, and these kids work their freaking butts off. Proud as heck of them to find a way to win with a lot of the mistakes we made. So Beamer basically said they had a full-blown dance party in the locker room after beating Jacksonville State. Not Florida, not Georgia, not Tennessee, not Alabama, Jacksonville State. This guy, he's just a weirdo. He is so weird. I don't know if he's at Butch Jones level cringe yet, but he's trending very close to being Butch Jones 2.0. He probably is Butch Jones 2.0. I just what a loser. I understand that you do only get 12 of these things a year, and you do need to celebrate them when you win. But don't come out there bragging about having a dance party after beating a team you were favored by nearly 16 points to beat. You didn't even cover the spread.
Have the party and do whatever you got to do, but don't brag about it. You're exactly right.
Trivia question for the listeners and for you all. Niche, you might have heard me ask this in the press box. Or not press box, shit.
I was going to say, we were in the press box.
You know what I mean. I'm not used to being up there. You know.
I got you. Oh, there wasn't as much oxygen up there, was there?
No.
Higher up.
Yeah. The chocolate milks were hitting a little different. Anyway, can you all name a country music singer who played quarterback at Jacksonville State?
I can.
Hang on. Let's give like a 10 or so second pause for the listeners, see if they can get it.
What?
Well, Big Montana, I see the wheels turning in his head. I'll give you a hint. He is, I would say, fairly to very popular in the country music community.
And he's very popular with the 18 to 25-year-old females.
Those go hand in hand, but whatever.
Is it Riley? What's his
Riley
name?
Green.
Riley Green.
Riley Green.
Correct.
The only reason I know that is because he talked about it on Busting with the Boys. And I knew he played college ball, but the only other one I can think of that played college ball is the dude that played in North Carolina with Garrett. But he wasn't a quarterback. He was a middle linebacker. But I knew Riley. That's the only reason I knew.
Where did Sam Hunt play college football?
Who gives a shit about Sam Hunt?
I'm just saying he's a singer. Where did he play college football?
I don't know.
South Alabama?
Pellissippi State?
South Alabama or whatever they are?
Alabama Birmingham.
Okay, maybe.
There you go. By the way, South Carolina has Vanderbilt, Kentucky, and Clemson left. So they got to win all 3 of those to go to a bowl game. They might win one. They might beat Vandy. They are not beating Kentucky or Clemson. I'm sorry.
They were our Super Bowl, but they're not even going to be able to be in a bowl. So there you go.
Hey, they're going to be playing with themselves in the Charmin Toilet Bowl.
Hey, I mean, look, we're talking about teams getting bowl eligible. Clemson's 5-4. They've got Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and South Carolina. So they've got to win one of these three coming up, and those aren't guaranteed wins.
They'll definitely win one of three.
They should beat South Carolina. But
truthfully, I think Clemson wins out. Truthfully,
they probably should. I would assume they're favored against North Carolina. They are heavily favored against Georgia Tech, and they are also pretty heavily favored against South Carolina. So they should win out and go 8-4. And then Dabo can stick it in Tyler from Spartanburg's face.
To be fair, I love that exchange real quick. I love that exchange between Tyler and Dabo because they both had really good points if you listen to the whole clip. Like Tyler from Spartanburg was 100% right with what he said. But as much as I hate Dabo, the righteous Clem Stones, as somebody dimmed him, that was great.
Maybe Billy.
He had a pretty good point. The way he said it, I wasn't a fan of. I don't think it was extremely professional. But what he said outside of "you're the problem" was an extremely good point. I really do believe. So I'll give him a little bit of credit on that. I do kind of like to see a little bit of fire from college coaches when it comes to fans that may overstep their boundaries. But I like that exchange because both of them had pretty solid points.
Yeah, it was entertaining. So it was very entertaining. Well, that's all the time we've got, Harbin. I hate to cut you off, but
It is what it is.
It's getting late. We got to catch up on our rest. Got a busy week this week. Tennessee basketball tips off Monday night against Tennessee Tech. Should be a big season for the Volunteers on the hardwood. Tennessee at Missouri this weekend. Huge game, 3:30 CBS. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, on Spotify. Leave us a comment, a question. We'll read it on the air. We appreciate everybody listening. For Day Vol, for Big Montana, for Harbin. We'll see you guys next week.